Casual dismissal of men's mental health is a prevalent issue in today's society. It's a silent epidemic, often masked by the age-old adage of man up or be strong. But strength isn't about suffering in silence. It's about acknowledging feelings, seeking help, and breaking free from the chains of stigma. Bravado and resilience are often conflated, yet they are not the same. Admitting to struggles doesn't make one weak, it makes one human. It's time we recognize that mental health doesn't discriminate on the basis of gender. From anxiety to depression, PTSD to bipolar disorder, men grapple with a myriad of mental health issues. The first step towards change is awareness. So let's shine a spotlight on men's mental health because it matters just as much. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Reach out, seek help, and let's foster a world where mental health is a conversation, not a taboo.
Legacy Foundation and A Few Good Men, in partnership with Local Motion and NYCC, present Secrets to Success, the men's mental health and wealth creation podcast. Yes, Wellbeing Wednesdays are back by popular demand from 7:30 to 9:30 GMT, starting on the 21st of February and every Wednesday after that till the end of March. As always, we'll be keeping it real, confronting the tough topics for a better tomorrow. Suicide, unemployment, homelessness, fatherless families, abortion, writing wills, serious youth crime and violence, divorce, breakups, breakdowns, trauma, grief, healthy relationships, parenting, education, healthcare, self-care, wealth care. Join us for Wellbeing Wednesdays. Offload, get interactive, and enjoy giveaways. Listen to the Men's Mental Health and Wealth Creation podcast. We need the best of us, inspiring the rest of us. Sisters, we need to be part of this too. Big shout out to Local Motion, supporting mental health and well-being services for people living in Enfield.
Good evening, and welcome to the Secret to Success and Wealth Creation podcast. This is our second episode of the second series, and we're back by popular demand. The feedback has been absolutely overwhelming. It's been emotional, and it's been motivational. So that's why we're back. And we've got a really good show for you. Sorry we're late. I had a funeral today. It was all the way in South London, which, you know, coming from South London, you need a passport, you need to go through security, you need to a whole heap of stuff to get you South London. So it took me hours to get back. So sorry we're late, but we're here, and we're here full panel. It's going to be exciting, educational, and interesting show. So the podcast is about men's mental health, everything men's mental health and well-being. And we're going to be dealing with a lot of subjects in the next, so I think it's four weeks after this. Last week we had a man that came on, amazing story, came back from bipolar schizophrenia, a resident of Enfield. He's now working for the Metropolitan Police. He used marathon running as a way of restoring his sanity, building back his physiology. What they call it? What's the word? Physicality. That's the word. It's been a long day. Forgive me. Yeah, it's been a long day. So yeah, he used the marathon running. He's now working with the Metropolitan Police in Enfield, and he's they call it a lived experience expert for the NHS. His story was amazing. And he used his faith in God and the scriptures to kind of restore himself back. He's a 60-year-old man that looks about 35. His name's Anthony. It was an amazing story. If you didn't watch it last week, I would implore you to go and watch that show. It's life-changing. You can't watch that show and listen to his testimony without being impacted and transformed. It was a transformative testimonial of how he overcame mental ill health and took himself from the gutter most to the uttermost. So, that was amazing. Scotty, our resident therapist, sends his apologies. He had an award ceremony. He had to go. He's in very, because he's so talented and gifted, he's in a lot of demand all over London. So it's hard to get hold of Scotty. So when we have him, we appreciate him. So, we thank Scotty for last week because, the feedback I got, it was like being in a counseling session and listening to two men doing a dance. One speaking and one actually listening, and it was good to listen to two men talk about vulnerable stuff that most people would close up, about. You understand? He's talking about running up and down on the street naked, and now he's a Metropolitan Police officer. You know what I'm saying? So that was amazing. So anyway, that was last week. This week we've got some amazing guests. Some people might know these gentlemen, but if you don't know, they'll introduce themselves. But before we do that, I'm gonna pass on to my learned friend, Marky Mark, fresh back from Gambia. And you see he caught a little bit of tan there. You see he's looking glowing. You know what I mean? The melanin's popping. So Marky Mark, introduce yourself and kick off, reset the tone.
Good evening. Thanks to my learned friend Milo and to my two colleagues.
Marlo. Moving forward, we change the name from Milo to Marlo. Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay. I must say it's good to be back on the Secrets to Success, men's well-being, mental, physical, all things men-wise. I think it's a beautiful thing here that Marlo has started. My apologies again. And I'm looking forward to another terrific show and the rest of the coming weeks, and hopefully it'll be something that continues and grows, because it's very important that especially men, black men, we don't sit down and speak about these subjects. These subjects are taboo to us. We sweep them under the carpet and we're just told to deal with it. As a man, as a grown man, when you got certain issues going through and you want to just put up your hand like you're in class and say, I need help. And just to even do that one single movement of putting up your hand and saying, I need help, is something that comes from deep within to do that, where we've been taught, we've been nurtured how to just be that man and to take everything on the chin and go forward. Life in 2024 isn't like that. So we need more shows like what we're doing, and we need more enlightenment on the issues that men are going through right across the globe. So it's a beautiful thing, I believe, that what we're doing here. And before we kick off, of course, we do like to have a little sermon so we can bless the show in the right way. Okay, and it says, may his wisdom and guidance flow through every word spoken and every listener's heart. May this show serve as a catalyst for change, breaking down barriers and fostering understanding between men and women. I pray that as these conversations unfold, men will find solace in knowing that they are not alone in their struggles. May they feel empowered to open up, share their experiences, and seek the support they need to heal and grow. May the stories shared on this show inspire men to prioritize their own well-being, recognizing that self-care is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary step towards becoming the best version of themselves. May they find the strength to confront their inner demons, break free from social expectations, and embrace their true selves. I pray that these conversations will also ignite a spark within families, communities, and the nation as a whole. May they serve as a reminder that true change starts from within, and that by addressing the needs of men, we can create a ripple effect that will positively impact everyone around us. May women, as they listen and take notes, gain a deeper understanding of the unique challenges that men face. May they learn how to provide the support, love, and understanding that men need without judgment or expectations. May they become allies in this journey towards healing and growth, standing side by side with the men in their lives. And as these initial conversations pave the way for something greater, I pray that doors will open, opportunities will arise, and resources will be made available to further support men's mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. May this show be just the beginning of a movement that brings about lasting change and a renewed sense of purpose for men everywhere. In all of this, I give thanks to the Most High, our Heavenly Father, for his presence and guidance. May his love and grace surround each participant and listener, creating a safe space for vulnerability, growth, and transformation. May this show be a testament to his power to heal, restore, and may it bring glory to his name. Amen.
That's beautiful, man. And I like the way you set that tone, because even when you was reading that, I had to remind myself that this is what this time is
That's
about.
the reason.
This time is sacred time, and it's not, we mustn't take it lightly, is what I'm trying to say to you, because as I said, I just come from a funeral, and you just don't know how much time you got left. I'm trying to say to this, who's to say this is not my last time seeing you guys? You know what I'm trying to say? We're at that stage and age now. I went to a 9-night Monday, funeral Wednesday. I got another funeral tomorrow. It's like, it's non-stop. From the beginning of the year, it's been non-stop funerals. And so I don't take this time for granted. And also thank you for that, those kind words, those words of wisdom and resetting the reason why we're here, you know? So before I hand over to our guests, just to introduce themselves, I want to make it known that this show is being sponsored by Legacy Foundation and Locomotion. Locomotion is a group of funders that are looking at isolation, mental health, youth unemployment, and other things in the borough, in 5 different areas in the UK, but in particular Enfield. When my parents came back from Jamaica, we lived in Tottenham, then we moved up to Enfield, Edmonton, which was like you're moving on up to rich area, like a rich area.
Elevation.
Yeah, so we moved out to the ghetto and we moved out to the hood and moved up to Edmonton. Yeah, but Edmonton is not like the rich area no more that we thought it was. There's beautiful spaces there, but there's places that need help and support, and the people that are in need are people that look like us, or that are made disadvantaged or disenfranchised, or maybe marginalized, or you know what I'm saying, overlooked in certain places. So we want to make sure that the support services, especially around mental health, get to people that look like us. And they're culturally competent, they're relevant, and they're accessible to people that look like us. You understand? So we're not excluded or overlooked. You understand? So I want Paul Everett, who will introduce himself and is representing Locomotion, just to explain who he is and why he's here, because it's important that we build bridges and understand, because you know, we're only going to learn if we sit down and have conversations with people that maybe we don't have conversation with every day. You see what I'm trying to say? So there was once upon a time in my life, Paul, that I looked in my life and everybody around me was black. I had no white friends. And then I prayed and I said, God, I don't want no more black friend. I want some white friend. I want some Indian friend. I want some different type of friend. I'm saying no disrespect to the black friend. The black friend has been beautiful and lovely. But sometimes variety is the what?
Spice of life.
Yeah, so I'm glad that our paths have crossed in a purposeful way, and I can only say that you have been a very positive added value to what we do. Legacy does. You understand? So and the people that we work with and we support. So I just feel like it'd be important for you to share with our guests as to collaboration, co-production, the importance of that moving forward. We can enlarge our territory and cover more, in terms of impact and outcomes. Yeah. So I'll pass you over to Paul, and then Basil comes in after.
Yeah, brilliant. So Local Motion essentially is a social justice movement. As Marlo said, it was put together by 6 funders, big funders, people who spend a lot of money on social issues right across the UK. And they are starting to be concerned that the money that they've been putting into communities actually isn't reaching the communities that it aims to reach. And I think all of us, everybody in this country, understands now most systems just aren't fit for purpose anymore. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. No one's got any confidence in them anymore, and no one's got any trust in them anymore. So what these funders are doing as part of this movement is to change these systems, to make them fit for purpose, to stop them being these top-down structures, and actually come from the community themselves. So the conversations that we're going to... So the positive thing, these funders haven't given 2-year funding or 3-year funding. So, as soon as you get started, the whole thing's over. And you don't get anywhere. So what they've funded it for 10 years because they understand change takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And actually, one of the big changes that we've got to build is trust again. Because we're finding already, talking to communities, and most of the communities, understandably, are saying to us, yeah, we've heard all this before, mate. You're not a person coming in. Well. Exactly. Yeah. And you're not going to do anything about our lives. Or the difference between us is that we're being honest and saying, yes, and we're not going to do anything about your lives. What we want to do is we want to give you the confidence and give you the support so that you take control of your own lives, and you are the voice that changes it.
Give back the power to the people.
Yeah. Now, part of that is going to be the people have to take the power.
That's right.
You can't just be given power. You've got to take it. You've got to. Interestingly, in Enfield, in the last local elections, 28% of the community voted.
Wow.
72% stayed at home.
Didn't vote.
The ultimate power that we've all got is that actually most of our ancestors fought for us to have. The majority now don't even bother to take it because and it's trust. They don't trust the people who are saying they're going to do anything for them. They don't trust that their voice is going to be heard. So that's the work that we're now engaged in doing. Enfield has got a specific issue, which is why Local Motion have chosen Enfield as an area. There's a line going through it, which is the A10, that splits the community in two. On the east of the community has got some of the most deprived areas in the country. And on the west of the A10, you've got some of the wealthiest areas of the country.
Wow.
So you've got, and so what Local Motion has chosen as its key objective is to change that balance.
Make it equitable and equal.
Yeah.
Because it's not equitable and equal at the moment.
And one of the drivers at the moment, and one of the key things all over the country, but specifically in Enfield, is mental health. And what you said at the very beginning when you were talking about black men having the finding it in themselves to come forward to address their mental health. An interesting thing, another part of Local Motion, a woman who sits on Local Motion alongside is a woman called Nena Anyanwu, who's the CEO for the CAB in Enfield. And when Marlo was putting this project forward for Local Motion to support, Nena said that they do lots of schemes for Black men and mental health. Hardly anyone ever comes forward.
Yes, that stigma is still attached to it. And, you know, there's a lot of us that need to find that strength, that motivation to bare your soul effectively. And I think that's what the issue is. There's so much Black men that need to reconcile with their own selves before they can put themselves out there to say, I need help.
Yeah.
Paul, talk about what you do and who you are and why you got involved with Local Motion.
I'm a theatre director. I'm a theatre director. I worked at a really famous theatre in the East End called Theatre Royal Stratford East, where I was, which was created by a woman called Joan Littlewood, who actually brought the working class voice to the stage for the first time in the 1950s. And when I was there in the 90s, we were pioneering work from the Black community and from the Asian community. So social justice was always at the heart of everything I've always done. So when I heard of Local Motion, I just thought, that's for me.
I saw you at Janet Kay's birthday the other day. Janet Kay.
Worked with her for years.
Janet Kay.
Yeah.
And Janet Kay, everybody knows Janet Kay was a Lovers Rock singer. Yeah, so I was...
She's the first woman to have a reggae #1.
First woman.
Ever.
Yeah.
1979, I remember her on top
Silly
of the
Games.
box. Yeah.
It wasn't Silly Games in Japan, though. It was Loving You.
Games. Yes. They
So
changed.
when she tours Japan, it's a completely different soundtrack.
So why did you get involved with the Local Motion? What was it that you felt was something that you need to be a part of?
I was head of culture in Enfield for 15 years, so running the theatres and all of culture. And so I was really, and what drew me to Enfield is because actually the biggest theatre is in Edmonton, in the poorest part, which is why I wanted to work there, because that's where I think theatres should be.
Is that Minfield?
Millfield, yeah.
Minfield, yeah.
And, you know, in my time there, I just saw the disparity between the East and the West. So I think everybody's known for a long time the work that needs to be done, but the approach to it is wrong.
We done some work with the youth offending team last year in Enfield, and I learned that some of the most serious gangs are from Enfield. I thought it was from Croydon, but I heard it's from Enfield. Some of the most serious youth violence that's going on in reported. Wow. I'm not sure how true that is, but that's what the youth offending team was saying, that Enfield's up there, either worse than Croydon or neck and neck with Croydon.
That's saying something.
And that's saying something, you know? So if that means that there's definitely a problem with the young people there. There's definitely a need around that when it comes to serious youth violence.
Well, we know from the research that you did last year that young people, the biggest thing that they say is blighting their lives is crime. Yeah.
And safety. They don't feel safe in certain areas to go and get jobs, to go for an interview. Yeah, there's guys that live in certain parts of Enfield that won't go to to Edmonton for an interview by themselves because they don't feel like they're going to be safe when they get on the bus, or you know what I'm saying. So that's a serious thing. If I remember once upon a time we used to walk from Edmonton to Battersea and to, you know what I mean, just for a party. I don't know if I ever said that on the show before, you know, but yeah, I walked back when the girl said you're not invited. You know what I mean?
It was a different environment then. Yeah, we were able to do that. We were able to get up and jump on the old Red Bus Rover tickets and just jump on any bus, take a number 12 from Peckham up to Shepherd's Bush, Acton, whatever. And you could do that without fear, unless you went into somebody else's area to purposely cause trouble, cause some sort of commotion. You could go freely.
We're Generation X. Yeah. We were the last generation that could, you know, stay out late at night and that, and you know, go, you know, Hackney, Tottenham,
the street lamps went off and all of that.
Yeah. So isolation is one of the things that Local Motion is dealing with, mental health. And why did you think it would be important for us to start looking at organizations and individuals in Enfield to kind of work together to see if we can come up with some kind of, because you said trust is a big thing. And so if there's no trust, we got to look at why there is no trust and how we can repair that. Yeah,
there's trust issues all over the place. There's a lot of organizations who work in the community sector who don't share any information with anybody else. They're all working silos, and they do it because they're so frightened that somebody else will get their funding. Their funding will be cut, somebody else will get it, and they protect their funding like it, understandably, because there's so little around. But what it means is people aren't working together to solve the issues of the community. So you'll have several mental health charities all working, not talking to each other, or sometimes sitting on a board and talking to each other, but not really saying what they're doing because they don't want anybody to give away anything. And there'll be examples of some companies that will share with somebody one of their ideas, and before they know it, that other person has actually put the funding application in for that idea and got it. And it just creates this level of trust. And this is what, it's really good that we've got these funders around the table, because their funding causes division. Yeah. The very nature of funding causes division between communities. Yeah. So what we are driving to happen is for people to work together. Yeah, and to bring people who don't talk to each other anymore to work together for the benefit of the community.
You know what, Paul? Yeah, once upon a time, I used to see funding as begging because of the way I grew up from the Caribbean. The Caribbean, my parents, and the culture is that if you do for yourself, get up and work, and do for yourself. You know what I mean? So I had that philosophy from a very young age. Up until now, I still have that, yeah. But I've grown and I've learned that you can't do everything by yourself, and sometimes you have to team up. Two is better than one, and a 3/4 chord is not easily broken. When you have people and that have the same vision and the same aspiration and intention, you become stronger. Yeah, I'm trying to say, because their strengths make up for your weaknesses, and vice versa. And so those individuals that are not sharing the knowledge and sharing the information and sharing the opportunities, not inviting you to the spaces and places where the decisions have been made, they don't last long, because life happens. There's a thing that they've not calculated. It's about life. When sickness happens and death happens, then you look around, you feel to yourself, well, who's around me to support me? Because you didn't support anybody. Yeah. So we need to kind of, when I say we, I'm talking about the Black community, especially Black men, need to heal from that mistrust. And that's not going to happen overnight. As you said, we need a generation, because it's like, some young people be able to relate to this. It's like when you're on the roads and you got a link that supplies you. You're not going to ever bring nobody to the link, because they spoil your business. They could spoil your business, because next minute now they gone to the link. I'm trying to say to you, and then now they cut you out. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same way you're talking about within the funding arena. Yeah. I didn't know nothing about funding, because, being a man that be entrepreneurial, innovative and creative, you find something that you can, turn your hand to, as Scotty would say. You know what I'm saying? You can buy it or sell it and make a profit, or be the middleman, or be a consultant, or create some value, and you package it and present it and promote it. Yeah, I used to sell entertainment. Where I used to have nightclubs and I'm trying to say events and whatever else. So you sell an experience, you know what I mean, food and drink and whatever else. But everybody can't be a promoter. Everybody can't be a barber. Everybody can't be a hairdresser. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we need other people that can be write policies and be in politics and being in criminal justice. And that's why Legacy was born, because we wanted to shine a light on the best of us to inspire the rest of us in arenas where we're underrepresented. You understand? We're overrepresented when it comes to being excluded from school or being in the PRUs or the prison. I'm saying, but we're underrepresented when it comes to, you know, somebody, you know, showing us how to, you know, do some construction, you know, get a gold mine in Ghana or build some houses in Gambia. I'm saying Mark's just come back from Gambia, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that later. But it's good that you're here, and it's good that you've seen some value in this seed, and I'm hoping that this will grow into something where we can provide advice, guidance, and support to individuals and organizations in Enfield locally. Yeah, then we can grow to centrally, then we can look at nationally, and then hopefully globally, because that's really our vision. We act locally, but we're thinking globally constantly, you know. So thank you for coming.
Can I just answer your question?
Of course you can.
What you've taken on sounds like a mammoth sort of task. Yeah. When you're strategizing as to how you're going to make it work, where do you start?
With talking to the community, listening to what people have really got to say. And
how do you access the people?
Through things like this.
But I turn up to anything I hear about and go and meet people.
Okay, to public events. Yeah.
Because
that's always the challenge. Like, how do you access
get the message across?
Yeah, because the mere fact that they're disenfranchised, they're not active groups. You know, I run a business in South London, and a lot of the time the policies, there are meetings, the council organised meetings, you know, Brixton Bid organised meetings, and they decide, all the local businesses turn up. But it's like, and I'm guilty of it, yeah. But oftentimes you might know about these meetings, but you just don't go. And then if you do go, you'll see that there's a core of people that are creating policy and change that affects everyone, because a lot of people feel so disenfranchised and they think the decisions are already going to be made that they don't participate. So
and that's why we've got to take our time to make sure we really are listening to the real community, not just the people who turn up to meetings. Because actually, if you do look at all the various meetings that are going on, you see the same faces who are meeting attenders. So you've actually got to go to the community itself and where the community meets, and go to their events, not ask them to come to yours. I think.
I get that.
Yeah, that's a good question, you know, and this is why it's not going to happen overnight, because when we do show up to them places there, we don't believe them. Yeah. When I say them, the system that's supposed to be representing us, and they're definitely not going to involve us. You know what I'm trying to say? They might involve one or two, you know what I'm saying, but they're never going to involve us. And then so the only people that can change us is us. And the only people that can support me is me. You know what I'm trying to say? The only person that can really motivate you is you. So the more of us that are coming together with like mind, for example, right? Let's go introduce yourself now, yeah? Yeah. Before I introduce you, you've done amazing across the whole of London, you know what I'm saying? And even outside of London when it comes to the things that you do. And I just want to bring Basil Links in. Basil Links as an entrepreneur. He's a health doctor with alternative herbal remedies and therapies. He's a philanthropist. He's a businessman, global businessman. He's my mentor, a friend, and I'm honored to have him here. He'll introduce himself more. Thank you, Basil, for coming.
Well, I mean, you said it all. Not much more to say. I'm in the business. Yeah, I'm in the business of health and well-being primarily, and I started a business about 25 years ago because there was a need. So similarly, when I posed that question to you, I identified that there was a lot of people that we knew, and just like Marlo said,
Yes, sir.
you know, he's been in to funerals and 9 nights. There's a lot of illnesses that are sort of generic, not just specifically in our community, in the Black community. So we find that, you know, a lot of us are suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes, different cancers, fibroids, prostate issues. And there are issues that are sort of really, they're destroying the fabric of our community, because people can't be productive, people can't achieve their full potential because they're impacted upon by poor health. And the NHS, the GP system, it doesn't always facilitate their needs. Now, it's taken, as a company, it's taken us 25 years to get to a point where we now have outlets across London. So we started in Brixton. We've now got one in Mitcham, Lewisham, Walthamstow, and Harlesden, and
hopefully one in Enfield.
Who knows?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And there's a real demand for what we do. Like, honestly, you would actually think that that you're in an accident and emergency room every single day in our shops, and people come in with all sorts of illnesses. And we, for example, well, today I was in Walthamstow. I saw about half a dozen people, and the issues ranged from high blood pressure and diabetes, to fibroids, to weight loss, to
does arthritis come up a lot?
Arthritis comes up, yeah. That's in our top 10. Yesterday, interesting, I was in Harlesden, and the first person I saw had myeloma.
What's that?
Blood cancer, isn't it?
Blood cancer. The second person that I saw had thyroid cancer. The third person that I saw had breast cancer. The fourth person, this is all from, in the first, everybody had like 45 minutes. The fourth person that I saw had ovarian cancer. And the reason why they come to us is because they've all had chemo, they've all been discharged, and they're very much on their own. They don't have, we give support and advice about diet, nutrition, sleep patterns, hydration, exercise, dietary plans, and all the sort of supporting elements of wellness. And what I found over the years is that a lot of the time we don't talk about mental health, but often mental trauma is at the base of physical sickness.
That's the root.
And when you sit down, and unfortunately when they do go to the GPs, often they're told, you can only deal with one thing at a time, whereas often they got so much that they want to get out. So we offer a service which is effectively a consultation, which is free, and we allow up to an hour, but sometimes depending on demand we have to cut it slightly short. But essentially people get an opportunity to talk about their issues. We ask a lot of specific questions so that we can identify how their lifestyle doesn't support well-being and good health. And often it actually, when you really drill down, and the amount of people that have broken down in consultations, because at the bottom of the root is a feeling of helplessness or guilt, because they've been victims, often victims of abuse, often victims of discrimination, and they've kept it in, and it's impacted on their well-being. It's caused stress. It's caused them to self-neglect or to self-medicate with sugar and alcohol and other forms of things. So, it's a massive job. and there's so much demand, but obviously we've never had funding. And I've, just like yourself, so coming from a background where we were brought up to sort of create for ourselves and do for ourselves, and I've always sort of advocated, we can't expect anyone to be that concerned about the well-being of our own community. And if they are that concerned, then there may potentially be another agenda why they want to get involved and to dictate the narrative, or to control, or to just gather information. So we operate in a non-judgmental way. We know that people are self-sabotaging, and our job is to try and support them to, improve. So we started really very much at the ground roots and spent a lot of time. We've got a massive sort of dedicated team now. I mean, we employ 20, 23, 24 people. And it's grown into a reasonable sized business. And we do sell products as well. So we sell the cleanses and the vitamins and the minerals and the supplements, and that's how we fund ourselves, by generating revenue from the products that we sell. But essentially, we're getting to a point now where honestly it's draining. Like, every member of staff, we're open 7 days a week, we open 10 hours a day, and I take my hat off to the team. It's something that you can't, it's such a mammoth task, and we are only scratching the surface.
I was going to say this here. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that the labor is plenty, but the work is plenty, but the laborers are few. Something like that. Yeah. And when I listen to you, and I've experienced your service firsthand. When my mom had the COVID. Remember, she had the COVID, the stroke, kidney failure, lung failure. I went to go and see Basil, and Basil listened. He took a long time listening, and he gave us some stuff to give my mom. And they said she would never walk again. She would never eat for herself again. She would need 24-hour care. I took my mom to the Bob Marley concert, and she had a one stick, and she had said, "Get up, stand up for your right." You know what I mean? So thanks to Basil, she had an extension of 3 years, and to God firstly, but to Basil, because we can have faith, but faith without works is dead. So the wisdom and the knowledge that he has around the study, the books he reads around the herbal remedies and the illnesses and the treatments for it, they're big like this. I'm trying to say to you. And he's given people that were long-term unemployed. I've called him up and said, "Basil, can you help this person out?" He said, "Bring them down," given them a job right throughout the lockdown. Their job turned into them turning into a business, because they said, "Well, look, we can start selling some crystals," and before you know it, the entrepreneurs through Basil being open and just being willing to support and to help, even when he don't get paid to be here. His time is a lot of money. I'm saying I could not pay him to be here. I could not pay Mark to be here. So this is a labor of love. They're tithing their time, their talent, and their treasure for a bigger cause. And so I thank God. I thank you personally for the time that you gave to my mom and to many other people around during the pandemic, because a lot of people were sick, dropping like flies. And as you said, the trauma of losing people, loved ones, where you can't go into the hospital, you can't go to their funeral, you can't even go and check them when they're you're wearing a mask, and I'm saying you have to leave the shopping at the door, and I'm saying wave at your mum where she can't even change herself and say, "Well, mum, wish you were the best, to put your nappy on." I couldn't do that. So I did break the laws. I did break the rules, because you could not tell me that I'm not going to be able to check my mum. I'm trying to say to you, there's many a times where Basil knows I'm caring for my mum. I'm going into the hospital. I'm trying to say to you, and I went into the hospital on many occasions, and Basil was not only there just through the products, he was there as a therapist. I'm trying to say to you, and gave me a lot of time and counsel through that time. And it's people like that we need to kind of give our flowers to and support, not just with words and just go to their shop and buy 1-2 products. We need to make sure that these people are fully financed, that their time is only for, you know what I'm saying? They don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about how the lease is going to be paid.
Yeah,
and I know you don't.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But what I'm trying to say, not everybody's like you. How many Basils have we got in our community?
We've got a lot of unrecognized Basils.
Why are they unrecognized though?
Going about their
Yeah, but why are they in the and this is why this platform is very needed, because they need to be recognized now.
Yeah.
You understand? They need to be seen now, and we need to know where to find these people, and we need to link up.
I think Basil's right in what he's saying. There's a lot of people that are moving under the radar and just quietly going on with their thing.
But do you know what it is, Mark? He that lifts his head above the radar is at risk of getting it shot off.
That's right. That's right. So that's why, yes, that's why.
What do you mean at risk? Why?
Because
by who?
You open yourself up to.
You're putting yourself out.
You're putting yourself out.
People see you.
You know, to criticism, to envy, to, you know, whatever. The more that you do, that, you know, my dad used to say, the higher the monkey climb,
the more it explores.
Yeah.
And
so, you know, sorry, you were saying.
What I was going to say is, and that, unfortunately, but hopefully it will be in a positive way, will happen to what you're doing. You're busy. You've been quietly going about it for years, and now it's growing. There's growth there. It's rising. It's visible. And that's the main thing. When you now become visible, you are noticed by many other people who didn't know. And businesses like what you run, there's a lot of people out there who don't want to see you succeed. Always remember, the biggest gang, the biggest business in the world is the pharmaceutical business. And they don't want, when all these people come with their natural remedies, that impacts on their sales of their pharmaceutical drugs. So they don't want to see that. So that's the price. And hopefully it's not a defective price, but it's a price that you pay because your business is now growing. You are visible to people. And there's a lot of people like us in the community who will support it. And there's a lot of people further beyond our community who don't like at all what you're doing and others are doing. And this is why it's good to have these platforms. So those of us that are like-minded can come and support what you do and surround you so you don't get your head lick off.
This is why, all right, through the pandemic, right? For those who don't know Basil, that are listening in, he created a vegan restaurant called Eat of Eden, right? Now, Paul, let me tell you about this Eat of Eden. The food was from Eden itself, yeah? This man used to have pumpkin curry, yeah? I never even knew about pumpkin curry till I went to his restaurant. Stew peas, yeah? He used to have black rice. I didn't even know about black rice, yeah? Right? He used to have this thing called what did he have again? The wheat meat.
Yeah. But you know, essentially, we opened a vegan
teriyaki wheat meat.
The business went well.
You had a lot.
The business went really well. We ended up, it was an amazing business. We employed over 100 people.
Wicked business.
120, 130 people across London. Unfortunately, we started it before the lockdown. The lockdown put paid to the business. We basically ended up closing down, and we had leases to pay and rents to pay and no income. And we ended up introducing delivery platforms who took like 30% of the margin. And then off the back of that, with increased utility prices, increased employment prices, the government raised the minimum wage and it added like £10,000 a month to my salary bill. So, the bottom line is we didn't survive. We've downsized because it was losing.
You didn't survive because of the money.
Because of the money, yeah.
Right. So this show is called The Secrets to Success and Wealth Creation. And it's important that a lot of us, like they say, the love of money is the root of all evil, but the lack of money is sometimes the root of all evil too. And so if we don't have the resources and the finances to sustain good initiatives like this. What you've done should have been in all the schools for the children to have healthy meals. It should have been in the old people's homes. Yeah, it should have been, I'm saying, like what you created. I know there's one or two people that are doing it and stuff like that, but a lot of us are ill because of what we eat.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most chronic illnesses come about through a lack of minerals. And, you know, your principal minerals, so iron, zinc, magnesium, which initially you would, years past, you'd get from the food. But now most of the food is GMO modified and, you know, is void of nutrition. The soil is void of nutrition. So there's even more of an argument that, you know, we need to be aware that supplements have a role to play, and particularly in mental health. Because 100%. You know, if you're not well, that will, if anything that affects your lower brain, which is your stomach, affects your cognitive brain. Yeah. So it was sort of hand in hand with what we were doing with the health stores. But it just, for now, shall we say, we've had to downside. We've had to rethink, and it will come back, and it will come back in a more sustainable way. We hope. But what's interesting is over the years, our client base has really changed.
Yeah.
Because for two reasons. One, to do with a lot of the areas which were inner city location, they're now gentrified. So now we get a lot of middle class customers coming in who are very focused on well-being and health. So now, you know, our customer base is very diverse, but also we were dealing 20 years ago with more or less, you could say, middle-aged to elders that were suffering from, you know, blood conditions and stuff, dementia, arthritis and the like. But now those illnesses are showing themselves
in younger people.
Much younger.
Yeah.
Much younger. Our customer base has dropped. So the you know, we're talking about mental well-being, but, you know, inextricably linked to that is physical well-being. And the well-being, I mean, back in the day, we didn't have chicken shops.
That's right.
And now, especially in the poorer communities, a lot of the school children, you know, they leave school and they stop off and they're having, you know, being able to buy 2 pieces of chicken and fries and a drink
for 99 pence.
For £1.99.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's funny you should say that, just to interject quickly. I was in Grove Park the other day on Friday and passed a chicken shop on Morley's. I should have took a picture. The whole pavement was rammed with schools to get in there. Yeah. And I looked and I thought that could never ever be in our time.
Yeah.
Never.
Exactly.
You come home and you got dinner, I'm not hungry at a road. Where?
So, but the fact is, it's not even so much about eating on the street, it's about the quality of the food, of what they're eating. And if they're not putting nutrition, they're not putting you know, minerals and vitamins, they're not eating veg. Like, it's interesting. I speak to a lot of young people. I'm talking, you know, say 25, 30 and under. Yeah. And you ask them about, part of your sort of consultation would be, you know, how much do you eat? How much meat do you eat? How much veg do you eat? How much water do you drink? And, you know, a high percentage of them, the majority of them, will actually say, I don't like veg. I don't eat veg. And if they're not, you know, despite the fact that a lot of the veg isn't actually as organic as it should be, but the fact is they've got far too much sugar, far too much carbs, far too much meat, not enough veg, not enough exercise, you know, the whole social media and use of the internet, so they can go to bed with their phones. It disturbs their sleep pattern, so they're not getting a chance to actually rest properly.
To
and
revive
all of this thing. It's not only affecting their physical health, but it's
Their mental
affecting their
health.
mental health and their judgment and their energy levels. And
Well, until we start this re-education again, what's happening now is that we've got a generation of children that are so unhealthy in so many ways. The food that they eat is not right. As Basil was saying, because of now everything is accessible by the internet, no one's going out to meet friends. Everybody's on the internet gaming, talking, whatever. When we was young, we was doing playouts, runouts, playing football till all sorts of hours. They're not doing these things again. They can just sit down in this one spot right here and do everything. Order their food, play with their friends, everything from one spot. So where's the physicality coming from? You know, and this is what, and if it continues like this and they're not educating our children, we should be telling, chicken and chips is £1.99. That's one thing they know. But do they know about the fat that is being cooked in the chicken? Has anybody educated them about hydrogenated fats and the different kind of fats and things like that? And where there's no education, there's no purpose. So
we run a HAF program. So for those who don't know, a HAF program is a holiday activity food program. Most boroughs have these programs, and it's basically for those people that are children that are on school meals or affected by the cost of living, or maybe just having hardships. Can't afford certain activities in the holiday time, the Christmas, Easter, summer. So we run this program in Wandsworth for Easter and for summer. And part of the program is that we have to provide lunches, but the lunches have to be healthy options. So we provide the education around the healthy options. We used to take some young people to the allotments to show them how to plant a vegetable, grow it. And then the idea was that they would take it from the ground to one of Basil's Eat of Eden shops and take it from the plant to the plate. You know what I'm trying to say? And show them the process from the plant allotment, and now you can take it to the plate, and now you can see the profit in it. There's such an education in just that process, you know? And but again, if we have to be worrying about staff costs, lease costs, rates costs, all these kind of things, and you're just trying to do it because this is your vision, and you haven't got the right people around you, it can only last so long.
That's right.
Because as you get older, you spend your younger years trying to acquire stuff, and then as you get older, you're trying to offload stuff. You know what I'm trying to say to you? But when you're offloading, which is the legacy part of it, you got to offload it to those that will value. You can't cast your pearl among swine. And what I mean by that, you can't take what's valuable, what you've worked so hard for, and give it to people that don't understand, appreciate the value. And you understand what I'm trying to say to you? So the education, the re-education that we don't always get in the schools. The schools are doing a great job. The teachers are doing a great job. We've got an education centre that we're trying to kick off in Enfield, but we need to create more education. And that comes through taking our young people into places to meet people that can change their whole paradigm around things. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Because, there's not many people like Basil that these young people are meeting on a day-to-day basis. There's not many people like Mark. He has a culinary school where he teaches young single parents, mothers, to cook. And every Friday,
budget.
It's a budget. So you got £20 there. What can you do with that £20? I'm saying you got, £10. What can you do with that? But it's got to be a healthy option. So as you say, we're doing great works under the radar, but the more we come together and the more we share information and knowledge, the more we can assemble and structure ourselves where we can attract resources. I'm saying resources, because at the end of the day, we're living in a world where everything costs, and you'll be a fool to say, well, you're just going to do everything for the love of it. I did that foolishness for years. And after a while, you don't get anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it for the love of it. I'll do it for the love of it. But then you have to think to yourself, well, hold on. When I'm sick, Yeah, who's gonna come and
Who's loving you
who's
back?
loving me back? You know what I'm trying to say to you? And so there's many times throughout the lockdown where, you know, the lockdown taught me so much, because that's the time when my mum got sick and she needed 24-hour care. And I remember the time when the carers said they can't come around because your mum's she's got the COVID again, and your dad's got the COVID again, so none of our carers can come around. And some of the family members didn't want to come around. You know what I'm saying? And I said, well, I'm going to stay and look after my mum and dad. You understand? I don't care if the COVID, if I get it and it kill me, then so be it. But it was people like Basil that said, you know what, take your turmeric, mix it up with the lemon, mix it up with the ginger, mix it up with the apple cider vinegar, mix it up with the what else again? You know, get in the full remedy. Nano zinc, the nano zinc. I didn't even know about nano zinc and nano. What's the other one? Nano gold.
Nano gold, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about that, Paul?
I don't know nano gold. No.
It's a noble mineral. It improves cognitive function. It's amazing. Gets right into your blood-brain barrier, and it reverses things like memory loss, lack of focus, anxiety, depression. It's really good for that.
Wow.
But yeah, we're talking about mental well-being. So yeah, it's important. But I guess the challenge is like, how do we improve the mental well-being of the community? How do we do it? I guess that's
it's a big journey. I think the main thing, number one, is to take the stigma attached. When we can easily talk about physical health, not a problem. How you doing? Oh, my knee's hurting me. And another question, how you doing? Oh, I don't feel too good today in my head. And people shy away. They don't want to know. You tell them there's a physical aspect wrong with you. Oh, have you seen this doctor? Have you taken this product? Whatever. You start to tell them there's something wrong in your head. They just want to back away from you. You know what I mean? Oh, no, don't go near him. He's losing his mind. And we have to take away that stigma that mental health is just as important as physical health. And until we get to that stage where it's not a stigma, we're always going to have the struggle, that I believe anyway.
But do you know something? Yeah. We think that there's less stigma attached to physical issues, health issues. But often, like I did a talk the other day in Chingford, and it was about prostate health. Now we know that prostate cancer in the Black community is running at a rate of 1 in 3, and it's killing our community. And in the European community or the white community in the UK, it's 1 in 8. Yeah. And we had about 35 people attend this event. There was about 5 guys.
Who had it?
No, 5 guys.
Only
It was
5
all
people?
women.
Oh.
It was all Black women that attended the event.
Yeah, and again, it's part of that stigma. We don't want to come out in the open.
But no, you see, another thing, yeah? Let's be real, yeah? When you talk about prostate, yeah, most men know that you're going to have to go and see a doctor, and the doctor going to have to put his finger up your, you know what I'm saying?
Well, not necessarily.
Well,
that's a misconception.
But listen to me, most men, if they're honest, that's what they think, especially if you come from the Afro-Caribbean community.
Yeah, but then in real terms, there's 2 things I would say to that. Yeah. Nowadays, the finger up the arse is secondary. Once you've had a PSA blood test, a prostate-specific antigen blood test, depending on the result, that will say whether there's a high probability that you've got a problem. And then they may physically feel the prostate to see what, you know, whether it's enlarged or if there is any the contours of the prostate. But the best form of healthcare is preventative.
Listen, let's pause, yeah?
Go ahead.
I'm 51.
Yeah.
The first time I've ever heard that is just now.
What's that?
What you just said.
Oh, about the blood test.
What you just said about the whole process of it.
Okay. Yeah. Just 100%.
So if I'm just, how many men out there like me?
That's true. That's true. But the problem is that we guys come to the shop all the time, and they're very much macho about their health. Yeah, and they could be suffering, and it's unfortunate that one of the sort of indicators that you might have a prostate issue is having to get up and pee at night. Yeah, get out of bed, or erectile dysfunction, and because of that,
You can't have sex.
you can't have probably pleasurable sex then. Yeah. That is one of the things that will motivate
A man to go and check
go
it.
and seek help. Yeah, when it gets to a point where it's like really impacting on his life.
But when that time's too late.
It's not necessarily too late, but it's always going to be easier to have a preventative strategy than it is going to have a corrective strategy, because
So what's
information has already
give us
developed
an
within
idea of
prostate.
what a preventative strategy is if a man
It
is
means
dealing with that right now.
with prostate health.
Yeah.
Making sure your prostate needs specific minerals, so things like lycopene, which you can get from your food, like from vegetables or from tomato skin, from red watermelon. So fruit with red pigmentation, there's a mineral called lycopene that supports a healthy prostate. Zinc, which you can get from pumpkin seed or pumpkin seed oil. Selenium, which you can get from Brazil nuts. So you can use your food to be your medicine, yeah. Or you can take supplements, yeah. You can take zinc supplements, magnesium, zinc, vitamin D3, which a lot of us are deficient in, based on where we live. Magnesium, a lot of us are deficient in. So you can have a preventative strategy. And there are other herbs like pigeon bark and saw palmetto, guinea henweed that you can take to stop inflammation of the prostate gland. However, there's a reluctance for people to actually come and talk about their physical health. I don't think it's as, almost any different from mental health. Maybe slightly more people will come because it's going to physically, they'll find that it's affecting them. But they wait until almost like their legs are dropping off or their arms are dropping off before they start talking.
Exactly. So I was going to say then that you find that us as black men, we just don't want to vulnerabilize ourselves. We don't want to present ourselves and bare and say, because Marlo's asking about what are the preventative stuff. To me, the preventative stuff is getting yourself checked on a regular basis. So before I even think there's anything wrong with me, I need to go to my GP. I need my prostate checked. I need this checked, whatever.
That's part of it, when you get to a certain age. But if you start to prepare before earlier, you get to that point where you start to actually, you're moving away from optimum health, then you'll actually, the doctor's visit will just basically become routine because actually, no, you're good. Yeah. So the doctor, and if you understand the way that the doctors operate, they operate from a premise that they treat symptoms.
That's right.
Yeah, as opposed to looking, they don't really have the time because they're so overworked, looking at nutrition and looking at sleep patterns and you occasionally you'll get a doctor that will sit down and talk to you about how to. Well, I think they may or may not care, but they just don't have the time, and sometimes it's hard. Yeah,
but just 1 second there. But don't you think that's all locked into what I was saying earlier about the pharmaceutical business being the biggest in the world? So they don't want the doctors to spend time to talk to their patients about alternative treatment, whatever.
That might be part of it.
It's 10 minutes in, 10 minutes out.
Yeah, but there may just not be enough doctors. There may just be, too many people with chronic illnesses. And I do believe that, it's the food that's available that people have access to. That actually, if you walk around a typical supermarket, regardless of which one it is, what are they selling? They're selling sugar, they're selling salt, they're selling saturated fat. And, they have aisles of cakes and alcohol and fizzy drinks and all of this stuff. And then a lot of the stuff which is supposed to be good for you is full of pesticides and herbicides and nicely,
You mean all the shiny fruit?
yeah, the fruit that's full of preservatives and stuff to extend the shelf life. So, and organic food is expensive. Yeah. And a lot of people don't even know about farmers markets and where you can go and get good quality food at a more affordable price. And there's not always access to those types of places. So, there's a massive picture, not just with pharmaceuticals. The supermarkets have the, school dinners, supermarkets, chicken shops. There's a massive issue, yeah. But from as Black men, we are always, I think, we're raised to suck it up. We're raised to not. We're seen as weak if we talk about our vulnerabilities or we talk about our health. So how do we, it starts, it's like, when I was a kid, if you was running and you fell over and you started to cry, it would be like, what are you crying for?
That's right. Get up.
Yeah, so you're not even able to express your emotions. Yeah. So how do we, if we really want, and a lot of the guys that are actually out doing gang violence and crime and abusing others. So they say like hurt people. Yeah. So how do we create a strategy to actually not just tackle the physical health, the mental health, the diet, how do we create safe places for people to feel comfortable about asking for help?
Not what judgment comes into it. A lot of people would feel good if they feel that they're not being judged because they've come and shown a vulnerable side to them.
And you know what, I to answer your question, there's no one answer, but what you did was you made me feel safe by the results that people were getting. People were getting results, and I heard about Basil before I met Basil. You know what I'm saying? So people were starting to get results, and they said, "What have you been to Pempanzi? Have you been to Basil?" And then when I met Basil and then listened to him, and then because as he said, it's not cheap. Eating healthy is not cheap, And then when you go to his shop, he said, you might need a colon cleanse. All right, cool. Then you're gonna need this probiotic. And then you need this. By the time you start,
You've won 150 pounds already.
It starts off right with a 20 pound. It's all right. I can buy 20 pound. I'm trying to say, and then you probiotic another 35 pound. And then by the time you look there, it's 300 pounds. And you say to yourself, but hold on a minute. No, sir. But then he says, but hold on. Not for you guys when you go out and you buy your little shoes and you buy your little shampoo and you buy your little
balance it back up for them.
You know what I mean? So you're gonna spend the money in the party, but you don't want to spend the money on your health. Think about it.
Isn't that a problem?
You think about it. You understand? You're crying about the £50 for the probiotic, but you're the same man that will go down the road and buy £100 champagne.
For
you know what I mean?
That you don't need it,
right? So then I thought about it and I said,
trainers when you've already got 20 in the cupboard.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so eating healthy, living healthy. Look, buy a papaya. I went to go buy a papaya the other day. You know how much for a papaya, Mark?
How much now?
£6.99 for one papaya, bro. Brother. Yeah, I have to eat the papaya very delicately, bro. I couldn't.
You don't know when you're gonna have another one.
It's interesting, though. People do talk about the cost of health products or organic stuff, but I always say to them, look, it's more expensive to be sick.
There you go.
Yeah. So if you can live a healthy lifestyle, and sometimes it's not just about what you take, it's about what you're currently taking that you need to stop taking, which actually saves you money, such as alcohol. A lot of people self-medicate with alcohol. That affects your mental well-being. That the sugar and the influence.
Bro, taking alcohol is serious, Yeah. I was watching. Just divert, but I was watching this documentary with this lady called Wendy Williams. Yeah, and she's sick because of this alcohol thing, yeah. And like, bro, taking alcohol, we take it socially in this average, but you know what? You just don't know the effects it's having on your physical body, the gout, the arthritis, the lack of blood circulation, and saying the mental health. But sometimes you're drinking now, you can't recover till 2-3 days after.
Yeah.
So cutting out the alcohol can really change your life. You know what I mean?
Smoking. I mean, I saw on TV
That's
that
another
they're
thing.
about to raise the cost of cigarettes, something like 16 or 20 pounds for a pack of 20.
People still buy it.
Yeah, people still buy it. But then, some of the people that come to see me with chronic illness and smoking contributes, but they feel no way about spending money on cigarettes or on weed. Yeah. And then, when it does cause inflammation and high blood pressure and heart issues, then they don't want to spend money on a cleanse.
Yeah, because by that time you're addicted. Your body's addicted. Your mind. And that's why mental health, it's no point changing the physical when your mind ain't being changed. You understand? Because then you're going to go back to it a couple months later. You might have a couple of good months. You know, say, yeah, I feel better now. Let me go back to a party. And then you're back into the problem again. You know what I'm saying to you? So
I'm convinced that a lot of people actually that do they party as a way of relieving mental,
it always has been
stress.
Yes.
And
in all the many forms it comes in.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess what we're striving to do as a business in Pempamsi is to connect with people in our community. And interestingly enough, we sell a product which is basically used for it's a male sexual enhancement product. It's herbal, yeah, but it contains things like horny goat weed, Siberian ginseng, tribulus, tonka ali, a combination of herbs that improve blood flow, and it's more like for erectile dysfunction or just to enhance sexual.
Well, it's like the blue pill.
It's like the blue pill. It's like that, but it doesn't affect your heart in an adverse way, and it's 100% herbal. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that the word is out, and I sell about 2,000 a month, 3,000 of products a month.
So you need to bring them to Enfield, man. Don't worry, me and Paul, we're gonna set up. We're gonna set up an outlet for you, though.
I'm saying that interestingly enough, yeah, because erectile dysfunction is something that affects older men as your blood, the quality of your blood becomes sticky and your blood flow, becomes impaired. Yeah, that's something that would normally affect older guys. Yeah, but it's amazing the amount of young men that are coming out and buying this on a regular basis. Like
young men.
The lifestyle, that would be down to their lifestyle.
Poor nutrition. Yeah. So it's possible, the point that I'm making, and the word spreads and people tell people, and it's possible to access that demographic. Yeah. But I don't know, with
2,000 a month.
Yeah. So
that's a lot, man.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. We import the product. But the point is, it's possible to get access to people if you can solve a problem, or you
of course
and they can sort of network and get the word out. And this has been a very interesting conversation, because now I'm thinking, how do we as a company, or how do we joint venture target
the masses,
at least the ones that we have access to
Here's one way
to really promote mental well-being. Yeah,
it's like having, when they allow you to have pop-up shops in places, and it's that sort of premises that I believe you'd be working on, where you need to pop up in places.
But he does that. Because he's got the outlet in Brixton and in Walthamstow and in Harlesden and in other places. Well, Lewisham as well, isn't
he?
Yeah. He does consultancy where he pops up, but there's only one of him. I mean, suppose you've got to see 6 people in one day.
No, I see 6 people in one day regularly. That's minor. But don't forget, there are other people in the team. Every outlet has a manager. The manager's got experience and training. And
but
it
you know
happens
what?
whether
You know
I'm
what it
there or
is
not.
when you got a GP, yeah, then you get used to that GP. You don't want. You want to go to that GP, especially if you're talking about erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
So if somebody's got with you, they're not going to want to see your manager. They want to see you.
No, I get that. But
Understand?
if you're going to scale something, you have to.
Well, you need training.
No, we do offer training. But I'm just thinking, how, because all we're having this conversation, and it's a very interesting subject, and we've more focused as a business on the physical issues that are affecting our community. But I think it is full time that we start to come up with more strategies as to how to reach out to people that are suffering from, depression and poor mental health and, insecurities and stuff like that. Even if there's nothing physically wrong, because all of that adds up to them being not as productive.
Yeah, but poverty, one of the contributions I've understood of poverty is the lack of knowledge, information. Once you got the information and knowledge, you can make a decision or a choice. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because now you know the effects of making the right choice or the effects of making the wrong choice. You understand? What you've shared in a short space of time, I've learned so much. Yeah. And if we have those kind of platforms where people are discussing and learning and implementing and sharing their journey, lived experience, then I think that's a good starting point. A good starting point. Because there's a lot of men that are going through, they're suffering in silence. They're not having sex with their woman no more, and their woman don't know what the issue is because they may be feeling ashamed to tell the woman. You understand? And so they're suffering in silence, where if they had a conversation with a man like you, now you could tell them to take the honey goat weed or what's the other one?
There's a whole range.
You can't get it one thing,
You know what I'm saying?
So then don't you think there's an importance on just us as men, if we're going through something, to then be able to say, yes, I saw Basil and I took this pill and now I'm firing on all cylinders. If that's one point. People that suffer with illnesses, as we said earlier, prostate cancer, okay, it's rife in our community. How many people suffer with it and go out and tell other people that they've had prostate cancer? I know quite a few people that suffered with it, had the operation, come through on the other side, and they've told no one. If you didn't know them personally, you wouldn't know. And I start to have a problem with that now, because I'm looking at the bigger scale. And if we're going to overcome all these things, people, they see us, they need to know that Basil, Marlo, Paul suffered with prostate and got through and everything. Okay, and you spoke about it. And because you spoke about it, it's now given them the inspiration to go to their doctors and get themselves checked. We keep everything in and it needs to flow out.
Mark, you're right. For 3 years, there was a stigma about going to therapy, going and sit down with someone and have a chat. Yeah, because that's weakness. You're not going to talk your business in front of people you don't know. When my brother died, I listened to a man that went through therapy and I could see the changes in him. He stopped drinking. He stopped eating meat. He stopped doing certain things. Yeah. And I said, you know what, let me try it. And he referred me to Enfield Counselling Service. And I'm 3 years in and I've managed to, not on purpose, but just by sharing my journey, 7 other men are in therapy too. I'm trying to say to you. And, it's just by me sharing. I'm trying to say, boy, you know what? I'm not saying there's no healing in it, but I look back on how I used to think 3 years ago. It's not how I think now. I'm trying to say, so you don't realize that you're making transformation and you're evolving. But then when you look back and say, boy, you know what? Then places I don't even go no more. Then I don't react that way again. Yeah. I'm trying to say to you, I've got a whole new set of people that I deal with. You get what I'm trying to say to you? And before you know it, you've made transformations. Listen, nobody's perfect. We're never going to be perfect. You understand what I'm saying to you? But what we do,
Who wants perfect?
Yeah.
You just want a higher
But-
level of life.
but the process of turning a caterpillar to a butterfly is a beautiful process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you can make them changes, you know. And so, what, as you said, the conversation is good to start, and it starts with people like yourself and people like Paul. You know, Paul, how you thinking? What you feeling? I see you there. You're engaged.
One of the things that has occurred to me from what you're saying is that actually we've got so far away from nature, from generations. If I think back to my grandmother, my great grandmother's generation, I remember her. She had chickens in the garden and grew all her own vegetables. And that's what she ate.
Yeah.
And
Call it progress.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got
regression.
so far away from nature. I've just seen, when I lived in Japan for a while, and they have a therapy for if you've got any mental health issues, that they prescribe you to go and walk through the forest. It's got a term to it, but it actually it works, and it's actually prescribed by your GP to go and walk through the forest to get back in touch again with nature.
Listen, what you're saying,
so
yeah?
important.
I used to walk. Mark's got a walk and talk where he goes and walks every day, and he does his commentary and he talks, yeah? And a lot of people are tuning in when he's walking and talking. And I don't know where he's walking, but I remember walking through Trent Park. Trent Park has got a lot of forestry and stuff like that. You breathe differently when you're walking through that park. Say if you just walk through there for 15 minutes, half an hour, your breathing is different. You know what I'm saying? You feel different. You feel more at peace, relaxed, tranquil, thoughtful and careful. And so what you're saying is right. In regards to nature, Basil, you still got the chicken farm?
Yeah, that's in Jamaica, but that's not really a nature thing.
No, but what I'm saying is...
It's a survival.
It's a fully automated.
But what I'm trying to say is, how many man you know have got a chicken farm, a whole chicken farm? We're just trying to work out a chicken. But what I'm trying to say to you is that we've got great men on the panel that, if you don't know them, get to know them. If you don't know Pen Pansy, get to know Pen Pansy. If you don't know what Locomotion doing, link up with Paul and Mark, because he's walking and talking and cooking all the way with the young people. So it's good stuff.
Just about trying to give back and highlight all the things that we should be doing. No
Talk
one's
about
perfect.
Gambia, bro.
Gambia is it's my spiritual
You say
home
he's smiling.
now.
Look at your gap teeth when you're smiling. Look at your gap teeth when you're smiling.
It's my spiritual home.
Yeah.
I love
Why do you
Gambia.
love Gambia so much?
I tell you what, the first time I went to Gambia was in 2016, and I came out of the airport, and this Gambian just came up to me, and he just come and hugged me, and he just said, "Welcome, brother. You are home." And after that, wasn't like, "Have you got something for me?" It was just natural, organic. He wasn't looking. There was no underlying motive. He was just embracing a foreigner coming to his country, and he was happy. You understand? As the next black man. What do they call us? The diaspora? Yeah. And to see us coming back and that hug, and I think it kind of connected with me. Because before that, I'm used to going to Jamaica. When you go to Jamaica, yes, hi, how you doing? Will you carry for me? We out there, and that's what they want. Do you understand? So it's a whole different thing. So when somebody doesn't know you and just embracing you and just giving you that natural, organic love, that stuck with me and it touched me. And then just moving around Gambia and seeing. And I think the great advantage that we have coming from the Western world is that you go to places like Gambia and you look and you can identify what they need differently from what they want. Everybody's got needs and wants, but their needs. And there is so much growth and space there for development, for business, for all sorts of things. Me personally, I've grown and lived in London, Britain all my life. And to be honest, no disrespect, I'm fed up. I want to go somewhere else now and, I don't know, be amongst my people. I need that sunshine. Basil's talking about taking the supplement tablets because we as melanated people aren't getting enough. So we're going to see people like Basil, people who don't know about Basil, go to Holland and Barrett and spending all this stupid money when it's free and natural. You know what I mean? 6-hour plane ride away. Embracing the culture, living different. Another thing that touched me was a big bowl of food, and you got 4 men all eating from that same bowl. That gives you a connection that you can't get. Over here, you're eating your food. If a man put his hand in your food, you're liable to chop that off.
But you know something, man? I love that about the Gambia, about West Africa. Yeah. Because a lot of the time, like when I was a kid, we all ate around the table.
Yes.
And food time was family.
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mommy used to love that.
Now, typically,
We eat on a tray.
we eat on a tray. Children might eat in their bedrooms. Some might eat here. Some, people go and they eat.
Some people are eating on the go.
Yeah. And I remember being in West Africa like 25 years ago and visiting a friend, and they'll be like, well, number one, mealtime is a time where, we all as a family come together.
Yes.
And people learn about sharing because we're all eating together. And therefore, there's a pot of rice, there's a pot of chicken, there's a pot of veg, and you might really love chicken, or you might be a fast eater. And
Why you look at me? Look at me,
But you have to exercise discipline.
Yes.
And control when you're eating as a collective, because you don't want to, just like be selfish.
That's right.
So yeah, I totally agree.
I went to
I try to
Jamaica.
implement that in my own home.
I went to Jamaica for Christmas with the kids, right? We're coming to an end, but I've got to say this. And since my mom died, I haven't had that time with them. And we, every day, breakfast and dinner, we sit around the table. And I learned something about my kids that I didn't know. They pray for their meals. You know what I'm saying? Which, if I remember, I would say a grace with my food. More time, I teach them that, but they've taken that on, and it was nice because it reminded me of this is what my mum wanted. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
My mum wanted that, but because of how the dynamic is with my children and their mothers, we don't all live under the same house. You understand? So it was beautiful that all of us was together for those 4 weeks, and I will never forget, and I know they will never forget that, So it's those traditions that we need to reintroduce and as part of our culture and heritage, because that's the richness, and that's the preciousness that we need to hand down. That's the legacy,
Yeah. That's definitely true.
Did you guys know, I watched on Digressing Again on telly the other day, there is a big, want for a better word, like an allotment. And I'm sure it's in Enfield. It's called Black Roots.
No.
I was watching it on Thames News the other day, ITV News. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's a lovely old Jamaican woman that's running it. It's on, I think, of a site of about an acre site. And she's growing everything. They're growing everything there. And now they're starting to have classes where they're bringing people in.
I think I know the lady.
To grow. It's called Black Roots.
I think I know the lady.
And it's in Edmonton or Enfield. One of those
Yeah, I
two.
think I know the
And
lady.
thought,
I think we went to her
bringing it
allotment.
back, but on a larger scale.
Yeah.
I took Basil to her allotment.
I've been there.
Yeah,
In there.
I took Basil to her
Very
allotment.
interesting.
Yeah.
And until they were highlighted on the news, who knew? Unless you're from the local community, who knows? And I think that's where a lot of the problems lies, the lack of advertising. We're quick to advertise the wrong things. But are we advertising the right thing? That's what we need.
Yeah, man. We need a program called the Plant to the Plate. The Plant to the Plate, where we can show them the journey of you plant a seed. Your cucumber seed now is a cucumber juice that you can put into the shop, and you know what I'm saying, before you know it, you're selling juices, smoothies. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's it, But it's been a great one. I don't know if you want to say something to just wrap it up, because we're coming to a 5-minute. It's been good.
Time has flown.
Yeah,
And
time
I tell
has
you,
flown.
every time the conversation gets so interesting.
Yeah.
And then when you bring on interesting guests as well, like Paul and Basil sharing their experiences, what they do, you know, whether there's 10 people or 100 people listening, it will touch somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And all you ever want it to do is to touch at least one person, for them to go and spread it and touch 2 others. And it's that ripple effect that we're creating. And more than ever, as far as I'm concerned, this is what's important. Not standing up in a dance on a Saturday night, drinking champagne, killing yourself. We've done enough of that over the years. We've consumed enough champagne to build another River Thames. You know, we don't need that. What we need is this. People like Basil, what you're creating with Locomotion, what Marlo's doing with Legacy, these are the things that we need now. This is important. And probably because we are getting to the twilight years, some of us, we place more emphasis on these sort of things. But no matter what stage you do it, as long as you're doing it. You know, I've just got one pet hate, and it's not for everybody, but I think that we've all got our place in society, and whether you're big up there or small down there, everybody's got a platform to do something. And for me, especially if you're a person that is known by other people, looked up to by other people, if something is wrong with you or you know about something that can help people, talk it out there, put it out there. People follow people. This prostate thing, when they see people that they know look like them, come from the same areas, them saying, listen, I've suffered with prostate, go and get checked. That does more than any NHS advert on the television. Facts, because they recognize somebody like themselves. That's the way I see it. So for me, these rounds of discussions and different topics and stuff, it's important. We've got the access to listen to music all day long, but more shows like this is needed. So roll on.
Roll on. Paul, final remarks or thoughts or feelings? What do you think?
Well, I'm just so excited by the conversation. I mean, I'm watching all the podcasts because I'm looking for the threads and the, you know, where are the systemic things which are going wrong that we can actually go and change. And today, you know, the conversation about actually we've got a whole generation poisoning itself. There's a root.
Yeah,
there's a root cause that we can 100%. Start to tackle.
Starts in the school.
Yeah. Basil.
I'm just glad to be here, to be honest. And, you know, I think from my perspective, it's all about community. I get up every day and my objective is to serve, you know, because it's not how much money you got in the bank. You know, when you're gone, you don't take a penny with you.
No.
So at the end of the day, and I say this to my team, and if I drop down dead tomorrow, I want all the shops to be open, business as usual, because there's a need. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And my greatest legacy will be that when I've been dead for 10 years, some people are still saying, yeah, man, Basil set this up, man. Now it's helping me, helping my kids. And it's interesting that because we've been around for so long now, we do get young people coming in saying, does it make you feel young? But they say, you've been here forever. I'll be like, not really. Well, my mum used to bring me here when I was like a kid. And now I'm like, well, how old are you now? And they're like, I'm 22. And I'm like, well, you're still a kid. But, you know, it's good that we are able as men in our age group to give back.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
so
it's essential
important
that we do that. So yeah, I agree with you. We have to just keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Basil. Thank you, Paul, for coming, taking your time to be a part of the conversation. It's seed form as it grows. I believe it's going to, you know, we'll have a 10-year strategy around how we can support each other, exchange knowledge, learning, and lived experience, and collaborate, co-produce, and you know, create new systems of change, so we can have individual change and you know, family change and community change. You know, because you know, our children are coming up and they need the best start in terms of their mental self-care, healthcare, and wealth care. You know, because this podcast is about protecting our mental health, promoting mental health and well-being, and preventing mental ill health, the 3 Ps, you know. And so, you know, I want to thank Locomotion for, you know, seeing that we need to kind of at least start the conversation and look at how we can grow this moving forward. And then I want to thank Myriad Studios for hosting us, Theo, and Jermaine and his team. I want to thank Will for being part of the production and doing the videoing of behind the scenes, because we're going to use all that footage to really showcase a story, you know what I'm saying, from where we started a couple of years ago in the pandemic, innit, Will? Yeah, a couple of years ago, and now we started with the struggle to success. Now we're in the secrets to success. I don't know where we're going to go next. You know, don't know where we're going. We're on a journey, though, you know. And so, you know, thank the audience for joining us once again. And this is not natural to none of us. I mean, we're learning as we go along, and so, you know, we're getting better and better as time goes on. So, thank you once again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week. God bless and good night.
God bless.